Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Jean Fourie, and today I want to speak to you about sight words. So when we look at any text of any books, whether it's magazines or text online, newspapers, comics, all text has got sight words embedded in the text. And these are core words that are related to the frequency with which those words are shown in the text. So we need to, as remedial teachers, we need to know how to teach sight words. And we need to know what they are, and we know that a lot of children have difficulty with these sight words. So one of the most common sight word lists is the Dolce sight word list. It was put together by Edward Dolce, who developed this list in about the 1930s. And what he did was he looked at children's books and he took out of there a list of what he at that stage called service words and high frequency nouns. So his particular list contained 220 of these service words. So these are all the little words there in all the words in between, and 95 of the most high frequency used nouns. So his words, he said that if we can teach children these particular words, children will be able to read most of the texts. The Dolce sight words comprise about 80% of the words that you would find in a typical children's book, and about 50% of the words that you would find in a typical book that was put together for adults. So the contention is that if you have and if you know those sight words on these lists, your reading will be much easier because you can then focus on comprehension and understanding the facts that are in, and the comprehension, the storyline, what the text is all about. There is another list called the Fry sight word list, and this list is an updated list of the Dolce list, and it captures the 1,000 most common words. So this word list by also an Dr. Edward Fry, was expanded upon in the 1950s and updated in the 1980s. And it is the most common list of most common words that would be in most of the reading material that would be used in grades 3 to grade 9. So learning all of these 1,000 words would equip children to read about 90% of the words that children would typically need to be able to read a common book or a website or a newspaper and so on. And so these sight word lists are really important lists to know about. The Fry word lists are listed by the frequency with which they occur, and they are often divided into lists of to groups, and the groups are about 100 words in a group. And so you can look at these groups and decide which ones need to be taught at whatever level you are doing your remediation. So there is also the top 150 word list, which is commonly used for people who do not use English as their first language. And these are the 150 words that would most occur frequently in printed English. So if you look at printed text, they would be the most frequent words in a text. And this particular list, is recommended by Professor Shaywitz, who is also one of the reading experts. And the words are listed in the order of the frequency that they would occur. So please visit a website called citewords.com, and that is a really useful website that gives you all these lists and the sight word things, information about sight words. So we also need to understand that sight words need to be decoded automatically. So you can't stop and break down and sound out and think about what this particular word is when you become a proficient reader. And that is our aim. We want to get all learners as effectively and proficiently reading as possible. So I just want to revise some of these comments, some of these concepts that we have been looking at, and you should all be working through the whole thing of all the systems of the language as well. So I'm going to go through some of these. So we understand that linguistics is the study of language and the structure of the language. That is the whole study. Phonetics is got to do with the study of how we classify and look at all the speech sounds in a particular language. And phonology, or phonemic awareness, has got to do with that awareness of all the sounds that are spoken in a particular language, the sounds that make up the words. So phonology is the system of contrasting relationships amongst the speech sounds that constitute the fundamental components of a language. So it's the way the sounds function in the language. And we all know that in English, there are 44 sounds that make up the sounds of the English language. So 44 sounds, and we need to understand how they all work together. Okay, so I'm just giving you some definitions here. Phonics is a method of teaching people to read by correlating the sounds with the symbols in the alphabetic writing system. So we are breaking each word up into its individual sounds so that we can hear those particular individual sounds, and then to make a word, we blend those sounds back together. Morphology is that internal shape or structure or form of the words. And so that is when we're taking the sounds together and we're making words with them. It is the study of the words in the language. Syntax, S-Y-N-T-A-X, is when we are arranging the words and phrases together to form sentences. And there are particular rules around sentences, how the verbs and all the parts of the speech and the nouns come together to make sentences. And then there is semantics, which is the sense, the implications. It is the meanings behind what we are looking at in the language. So it's the relationships between all the words, how the words make sentences. I want this go down. Then, sight words, I've spoken a little bit about. Sight words are the collections of words that a child should learn, and they need to be able to recognize these words automatically without sounding them out. The sight words are common, frequently used foundational words in the language. So these are the words in the text, the written, printed text. One needs to be able to automatically read those words. I'm just giving you some more definitions. So graphemes are the smallest meaningful contrastive unit or symbol of letters in a writing system. So now we're talking about writing. The graphemes are the letters that we write on the page, and they are, each one is distinct and unique. These symbols, there is contrast between them. So we know the difference between an A and an O because they have something about them that makes that particular symbol unique. And in English, we have 26 graphemes or letters of the alphabet. So with those 26 letters, we need to make up the 44 sounds in the English language. So the sounds are phonemes, and they are the smallest. And now we're talking about being able to hear them. So these are perceptually distinct units of sound, the smallest units of sound that we can distinguish and make decide that this phoneme of a is different from that phoneme of a. So an a and an a are distinctive. We can perceive the distinction between them. And this is also something that we learn and changes. And that's why we need children to learn many languages when they are little, because you lose that ability to distinguish between certain of the sounds in a particular language that you are, you hear it in the language you're exposed to. If you're not exposed to a language, then you don't hear those sounds, those sound differences. So other things that we need to be aware of as remedial teachers is digraphs, and these are single sounds that may be represented in writing with 2 letters. So the sound ch is a single sound, but there are 2 letters representing it, a k and a h. And same as a th sound, as in they, t and a t and an h are the graphemes that represent that sound. A sh is an s and an h. A w, as in when, w, is a w and an h. And an ing, as in sing, is the sound is a ng, and it's an n and a g. So these are pairs of letters that make a new sound that is different from the sounds made by the 2 individual letters. Digraph sounds. Then I need you to know about phonemic analysis or manipulation of the phonemes. And we do a variety of manipulative things when we are teaching children sounds. We do segmentation. We segment, we break down the word into its particular sounds. So the word might be cat. We break it down into k, a, t. Blend, we take the particular sounds and we synthesize or put them back together. So blending is what we often will be doing. Show the learner a m and an a and a t, and they must put it together to make mat. We can manipulate other parts of the words. We can remove a sound in the middle. We can take the a away and put an o in there, and now it becomes m, o, t, mot. We can add sound. We can add letters to the end. M, o, t, h. Put a h on the end, and now it becomes moth. So we can add, we can substitute sounds, take sounds away. So this whole idea of manipulating sounds in words is really one of the techniques that you should be doing in remedial sessions is using words, and you should be having little plastic letters or felt letters or letters made of wood, and you should have those in your toolkit so that you can spend some time with words and breaking them up and making different words. So we know that the whole process of blending sounds is easier for children than the process of segmentation. So it tends to be harder for us to take a word that is maybe a complex word or even just a simple word and break it into its separate sounds. And that is something that we often will have to teach in remediation. One of the really useful methods of teaching this whole idea of manipulation of sounds is the Vect Method, which stands for visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. So we are stimulating eyes, we're giving eyes things to look at, we are hearing the sounds and saying them, and there's visual and auditory. And kinesthetic is moving. We can clap syllables. You can clap syllable and see how many syllables there are. You can have lots of tactile things, so make letters out of in sand, or take some jelly and put it on a little tray and write words in the jelly. You can write words outside in the sand. There's a lot of things that you can do that are stimulating all four of these senses that we learn the words, words around. Okay, so the last thing that I want to go through with you today, I'm just doing a whole lot of theory with you today. The last thing I want to just cover is this idea of vowel sounds and consonant sounds, because I'm finding people are confused about these. So a vowel sound is a sound that's like in the middle of words, and this is produced, the idea of vowels and consonants comes from the organs of speech. So your organs of speech are dictating whether this is a vowel or a consonant. And so when we make up any word, let's say we have the word cat, k-a-t, k-a-t. The first sound that you hear, the k, has been stopped by the back of the tongue and the back of the tongue coming down and touching the back of your mouth. So consonants are sounds where the speech organs have done some stopping of the sound, whereas vowels are the sounds that are in the middle, and they are relatively open configuration of your speech organs. So if we think of a, and you make an a sound, and it's a really useful thing to have a little mirror in your toolkit as a remedial teacher, so that you can, children can look at their mouths while they're making these sounds as well. So an a sound has got relatively little breakage or stoppage of the sound. So if you think of all the letters of all the vowel sounds, a, e, I, o, and a, those sounds are not being stopped by speech organs. They are, you're just moving your mouth slightly in a different configuration to make those different sounds. So the consonants are stopping the sound from coming clearly through the mouth. So if you think of m, m is stopped by your lips, top and bottom lips, m. If you think of the sound n, if you make a n sound, nat, n, the tip of your tongue is touching the ridge at the back of your teeth. N. If you think of a sound t, it's the tip of the tongue as well, touching the back of the teeth, but now it's making an explosive sound, but there's still a stoppage, t. If you think of k, it's moved towards the back of the mouth. We've got the tongue, k, g. If you think of a g sound as in garden, g, the epiglottis and the organs right at the back of your mouth are stopping that sound. So the sound can be stopped by the lips, the tongue and the palate, and the back of the tongue and the palate. So those are all the, there's also a sound, which is a sibilant sound, and that's also classified as a consonant. So because the tongue is coming up and letting just some air go kind of over the tongue, s, and a r sound, those are also still classified as consonants. So I know that at school we generally teach vowels as a, e, o, a, but we don't really understand the reasoning behind vowels and consonants. And as a remedial teacher, I think it's important that you get some idea of the organs of speech and how they relate to the sounds and the phonemes. Okay, so in English, there are 20 vowel sounds. There are long ones and short ones. A monophthong is a vowel sound that has a single sound. So the tongue is in one position. The nice clear vowels, a, e, o, a. Nice good monophthongs. When we combine vowel sounds together, two vowel sounds, we get a diphthong. And these are such as the word loud, ow. You are moving the mouth from one vowel to the next vowel. So boy, oi, you are moving the vowel sound from one to another. Okay, and then we also have vowels that will change from their short to their long sounds. So if we take cat and we make Kate, it becomes a long vowel. Hat and short, and hate becomes a long vowel. And all is also the vowel that's long. So the vowel sounds are changing as we alter and change the shape of our mouths. Okay, so I just want to finish up. I will put these notes up on Blackboard as well for you, and so that you can see some of the complexities. So I've spoken to you about consonant sounds, that there's a change, we're stopping the sounds with our voice organs. The last thing I want to just draw your attention to with regards to phonology is the neutral vowel. The neutral vowel is also called the schwa, and this is a vowel sound that is made right in the middle central part of your mouth. It is called an unstressed vowel. It is not stopped by anything, and it is the most common sound in the English language. So if you make the word the, that sound at the end of the word the is the neutral vowel. It is not an a or an e or an o or an e or an a. It is a. the schwa or the neutral vowel. And it is in a lot of English. You just, if you start tuning your ear into hearing the neutral vowel, you'll hear it a lot, about. And it is written with the phonemic alphabet symbol I've given you over there, which is like an upside down E. So I've spoken to you about consonants, and consonant blends, or when we put two consonants together. That's the only other thing I haven't spoken to you about over here. Okay, so that was a lecture on a bit of theory, and I hope that I've given you key aspects of all the theory that I'm hoping you have been working through in your next assignment. But these are the crucial parts that I think we need to have a good understanding for us as remedial teachers. So I'm going to stop the recording there.